So let's look at our next example. On example 8, if we look at this one, we're going to start off the same way. Notice we're still starting with rule 3 or step 3, which is to collect like terms if necessary. So I went ahead and I put my line right here through my equal sign. On my left side, I see that 2/3 x and 1/2 x are like terms. On my right side, I don't have any like terms. So I'm going to go ahead and add those two together. 2/3 x plus 1/2 x, we know we have to have our common denominator here. Our common denominator is 6. Therefore, 2/3 would be 4/6 and 1/2 would be 3/6. 4/6 plus 3/6 is going to be 7/6x minus 1/6, we're just going to go ahead and bring that down, equals to 7/6 plus 2x. Now, step 4 tells us to get all of our variables on one side and all of our constants on the other. I'm going to go ahead and move my 7/6 only because it is smaller than that 2x here. So I'm going to subtract 7/6 from both sides. And I guess I should have said these are my two like terms that I'm getting together, and I'll eventually get these two like terms together, the -1/6 and the 7/6. So I'm going to go ahead, subtract those. On my left side, the -7/6 are gone. I'm going to bring down that -1/6 equals to 7/6. And then 2x minus 7/6, we have to remember that 2 as a fraction is going to be 12/6x. So 12/6 minus 7/6 is going to be 5/6x. Now I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 7/6. We have to pay close attention to these integer rules right now. 7/6 minus 7/6 we know is 0, so it's going to cancel out. All I'm going to be left with is 5/6x. And now a -1/6 and a -7/6 is going to give us a -8/6. At this point, our next step is to multiply or divide. On the last problems, we've been dividing. We've had whole number coefficients. But since we have a fractional coefficient, what I'm going to go ahead and do is multiply by the reciprocal. We saw this in our multiplication principle video. So we have 6/5. And whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. So I'm going to multiply the left side by 6/5 also. On the right side, the 6's and the 5's are going to cancel out, so we're going to be left with 1x or just x. On the left side, I can go ahead and cross out my 6's. I can divide each of those by 6. That's going to be 1. 1 times -8 is -8, and 5 times 1 is going to be 1. Therefore, once we simplify that fraction, we'll end up with x is equal to -8, and that is our final solution. So now we're going to look at example 9. Example 9, we have seen this one before. This is exactly like example 4. When we were working with example 4, we just solved this with the decimals. Now we're going to start to see that first step that we've been avoiding since we've been solving equations, that step number 1, multiplying on both sides to clear the equation of fractions or decimals. So this time we are going to clear, and we're going to see if we get the same answer. So I'm going to start by drawing my line here. This is a very large subtraction sign. What we're going to do is count our decimal places. I have 16 3/10, a -7.2 or -7 2/10 y, and -8 1800ths. So our largest place is 100, or the hundreds place. So what I'm going to do to clear is multiply both the left side and the right side by 100. So when we do that, we can distribute. Ultimately, what that's going to do is just make our decimal move 2 places to the right. And when we look at this, we can see that we're now working with 16,000. No, we're not. We're working with 1,630 minus 720y equals to -818. So when we talk about clearing, this is what we're talking about. There are now no more decimals. This is a whole number equation, and I can go ahead and solve this. So we're going to solve this one. Just like we've been doing, we don't see any more parentheses. We have no like terms to collect, so all we're going to do is get our like terms on one side. So our like terms here are this 1,630 and the negative 818. So what I'm going to do to get those on one side is subtract 1,630 from both sides. So when we do that, we know that a positive 1,630 minus a negative 1,630 will cancel out. So that's gone. And we are left with negative 720y on the left side equals to negative 818 plus a negative 1,630 is going to be negative 2448. Then we're going to go ahead and follow our next step, which is to divide both sides by that negative 720. Our negatives are going to cancel because we know a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 720 divided by 720 is going to be a positive 1, so we'll end up with positive 1y or just y. On the right side, a negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive, so I'm going to get rid of those signs. And then 2,448 divided by 720 is going to be, when we divide, 3.4. So we're done. And we got the same answer that we did on number 4.